Ken Rudolph, former partner here on the radio, formerly Good Day Sacramento, currently TVG. I know you do some work with FanDuel, and I know you still are very good at starting stuff on social media. So, Ken, we've been.
I was about to say, that's why I hit D-Lo. I said, D-Lo, you see Ken over the weekend? You see what he was doing over here? Just creating a buzz, creating a firestorm, getting people all riled up. I said, we got to talk to Ken, man. He out here starting stuff.
Me? No. Come on now, y'all. I'm not starting any trouble. First off, so great to see y'all, man. KC, great to see you, brother.
Yes,
I appreciate what you guys are building there in Sacramento, Damien. You know you're my dude. You guys doing all right?
Yeah, good, man.
Yeah,
I used to,
but yeah, we're good.
I used to think Ken from, he'd wrap up at Good Day Sacramento. He'd head over to the Bad Guys studio and what can I do to really rile D-Lo up today? He'd have like a 20, 25-minute drive. Like, wow, what could I do that would, and every day he'd know what it was. Like he'd just wait, like, oh, day's going fine. Then all of a sudden, boom, Ken got something. Now he's just doing it on social media.
No, see, this is the beauty of partnerships, right? Like when you and I met, Damien, we're always going to tell the story till we're old and gray. That as soon as we met each other, we started arguing. But it wasn't like but it wasn't like we were mad at all. We were just like, what are you talking about? No, you're wrong. And
we had a disagreement about Kobe Bryant.
Yes,
that's what it was. Yeah.
So we walked in the door, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. What? Kobe, what? And right into it. And I was like, that's what they call chemistry. That's what they call that. When you immediately have something that you connect on, but yet at the same time, we disagreed. It's incredible. And so I was like, that's chemistry. That's somebody that no matter what Damien says, it's automatically going to get me thinking. And it's automatically going to get a response out of me. And that's something you just can't create. You can't make that up. So I've always cherished that. And I've always been like, as soon as I sat down at the mic, I'm like, whatever he says and whatever I feel, I'm going. And I don't care because I feel it feels true to me. So I just would follow it.
Yeah. Ken taught me a lot about what Kenny and I do here, like about kind of breaking the fourth wall. Like if we have if we have something that we're not vibing with, we don't wait till commercial break to figure it out. Ken would just, what is your problem? Why you got that look on your face? What are you mad at me about? I remember we had Carrie Champion on one time and you said something and I looked at you like, I don't even remember what you said, but you said something and I looked at you. We wrap up with Carrie, hang up, and Ken right out the gate. What are you looking at me for? What's the problem? Let's just hash it out right now. And I realized this is fantastic. Like as a listener, like I would love this. You just talk through the intricacies of what you do, and like I learned so much from you in that element that we carry over here to what we do on D-Lo and KC.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I feel like this is still the only medium where there is no interruption. There is no filter, right? When you go to television, there's a delay sometimes. You've got edited pieces. You've got all this stuff that's in between me and you and the message. Well, with radio, there's nothing in between this. It's just me and you talking right now, and it's real time. And I think that's going to be, it's always going to be the greatest way to connect with people. I think it's the only way to talk about sports because you have that give and take. Because if someone's in the car or they're sitting at their computer or whatever they're doing these days to listen to this, they're here right now. Yeah. And they have an opinion on what we're saying right now. And they have the ability to respond to what we're saying in real time right now. You guys see it, we respond. Or if we're taking calls or whatever the case may be. So I've always thought this is the best way to have a discussion. And if you have a situation where you've got a point guard that's not doing his job, like the best place to talk about that is Twitter and on the radio.
Yeah, no, okay. Let's get into it. Let's get in. Because look, I'm not here to, I can understand where Ken is coming from, but it all stems from NBA Central threw out a tweet about De'Aaron Fox's last, I can't even count how many it is. I think it's about 8, 9 games. And the numbers are crazy, 41, 32, 24, 44, a bunch of other high 20s to 33, shooting above 50% in all of the games. The assist total is 11, 10, 7, 6, 9, 10, 10, 4, 9. Like the man is balling right now, absolutely balling. And you know, I think it was our guy, John Bull. He mentioned it. And, you know, everybody's like, yeah, look at De'Aaron. He's hooping. And Ken just comes in like, means nothing. Means nothing. Ken, explain yourself.
I don't think I have to. The numbers back everything up. And the history of the game backs everything up. Look, from the history of this game, we would just celebrate 75 years or something like that of NBA talent. There's always been at least 100 guys in the league that get buckets. And you can't stop them from getting buckets. In fact, every single player in the NBA has been getting buckets since they were 12 years old. So a guy in the league that gets buckets every night means nothing to me. And so I'm like, okay, great. We know what kind of ability this individual has as a player. And I want to preface my comments is the thing that fans make the mistake of doing, they did it with DeMarcus, do it with everybody. You fall in love with that player, and that player don't care about you. Don't worry about that player. That player is already living their dream. They're in the NBA. They've already accomplished their life's goal. Our job is to try to find someone who's going to win for our city. Sacramento's on my birth certificate. I can't shake it. So I just want somebody who's going to win for my city. That dude's got $100 million. He don't care. I'm not saying he's not trying to win. I'm saying he don't care about me and my city. So what I'm trying to do is find a point guard that can do their job and make my city better. He can have all those points, but if your team is 2-8 during that time, and in a crucial game where you score all kinds of points, but you miss the second of 2 free throws, and you end up losing by 1. Now, the context of that Dallas game is they made a late 3-pointer, and okay, but you still had the ball in your hands, and you always do at the end of the game, and you're responsible for sealing the victory. You're responsible for either making the shot or the pass that wins the game. Can you tell me more than one highlight where Mr. Fox made the pass that wins the game? One time he hit, I think, Me Too over in the corner for a 3. Can you name me another situation? Because I watch, but you guys cover the team. Y'all are in it every day. Can someone tell me another situation when this dude made the pass that won the game?
Now, here's what I'll say about that, Ken. That is, and what you're saying, I understand completely. I agree with a lot of it. But that's also very results-based.
Right.
Because if he makes the right pass and the great pass and somebody hits off the side of the backboard, he did his job.
So you're telling me that every single time he's making a good pass, so that's what everyone's saying on social media, he doesn't have a good, supporting cast. And I'm pretty sure that all the leaders that we champion throughout the history of sports, they did it without great players around them. They made the players around them better. Don't forget, even
give me an example.
Yeah, I gotta hear that one. Who
Go ahead, give me an example.
In any sport or basketball?
Sure.
Yeah.
You want to go? Let's go. I'll go basketball. I'll start with Sacramento Kings, and I'll start with Mitch Richmond. Who was around Mitch Richmond when they made the playoffs? Brian Grant and nobody else. Nobody that, we all as Kings fans remember Michael Smith and everybody else, and we love them, but those aren't players that anyone's going to remember. Your star player makes everyone around you better. They make it so that they can rely on you at the end of the game. They know when it comes down to it, they can count on you to either get a bucket, either get a stop, or that pass, something that's going to make us better. So explain to me how a team back in 1997 with a bunch of guys who were not special at all, explain to me how they made the playoffs. Explain to me how they beat Seattle in Game 2 in Key Arena. And explain to me how that team is so much better than what we put out on the court the last 5 years. They weren't. They just played as a team, and they had one leader. One guy that was like, I'm the dude, not give me the ball. I'm the leader. Isn't that a difference, right? Don't give me the ball. I'm the leader. I think that's two different things.
I do want to point out that team was 39-43.
Right. The team wasn't very good.
If you guys ever went 39-43, you'd have a parade.
Well, we did a couple years ago. Dave Yeager went 39-43, and they fired him.
Hey, that's not on. That's on.
And look, I'll also point this out, Ken, too. Mitch Richmond was 31 years old.
Okay.
We're talking about a 24-year-old.
Nope. Mitch Richmond did that when he was a rookie in Golden State. Now, he had help.
He had Hall of Famers with him.
He had to step up and do his job. Don't you got to do your job?
Yeah, he did his job, and the other Hall of Famers did their job, and they made the playoffs. Justin Howard ain't the Hall of Famer.
Whatever the scenario is, you have to adjust and do your job.
So okay, here's the other thing. De'Aaron's not doing his job right now? De'Aaron,
what?
He's not doing his job right now?
He's not doing all of his job. He's doing the Russell Westbrook part of his job. He's doing the scoring and the dominating the ball part. But he's not doing the controlling the tempo of the game. He's not doing the controlling the attitude and focus of his team. How are you going to tell me with this new series on HBO about Magic Johnson? So I know Magic's special, but you look for certain tangibles in your point guard that have been there forever. You look for leadership. Even when he talks in his post game, it is nothing but ridiculous answers. It is nothing that I could say, okay, he's getting a little bit closer to understanding what they want to do as a team. Oh, okay, he's getting a little bit closer to be a leader.
That's not fair, though. I don't think that's because mainly because this team is constantly changing. The team that he had, there probably ain't a soul in sight from the team that was here when he was drafted as a rookie, or probably the year after that, or the year after that. Hell, he just went through a big change a month ago.
Yep. Okay.
Like he doesn't have the ability to, adjust and figure out, okay, what's my role with it? No, I can't figure out my role with the team keeps changing. I don't need to figure out my role with this team for the next 13 games because I know my team is changing again in June.
Okay. That's valid. And that's what I think everyone is continuing to do in Sacramento is make excuses for this player. And I'm like, look, man, everyone around the league looks at our team. When they list the top point guards, they don't list our guy. There's a reason for that. Because our guy is not consistent. Our guy's not closing out games. Our guy's missing layups. Our guy's taking far too many jump shots to be the point guard. Our guy has too many turnovers. I mean, he's so incredible. He can control the tempo. How are you looking at how is LaMelo coming in here and taking over immediately? How are all these other guards that are younger than him coming into the league and boom, they're taking over? I know he's in a tough situation, but I feel like he's not taking the right approach. I think the approach should be scoring less, control more. Score less, control more. I feel like
he has to score.
Yeah, who's going to score? Justin Holiday routinely puts up 3 of 13 from the field.
If you have an effective, I think, well, first off, if you have an effective offense, anyone can score in your offense. Granted, you're going to have guys you have to go to get buckets. We don't necessarily have that. Well, you do now with Sabonis. That's a go-to guaranteed bucket. Low post is fantastic, especially with him. Those two together, and I think that's the best thing that's ever happened to Darren, is to get that low post so that now he has to give up the ball. He absolutely has to give that ball up because that dude down there demands it, and he's going to make it worth it, and it should open things up for everyone else. Hopefully that dynamic will open him up to be a much better leader on the court because it's difficult with the people he had. I'm not going to argue with you about that. That's a tough squad to deal with. But how many good teams are there in the NBA? And the ones that aren't good, they're not struggling like the Sacramento Kings are. And so there has to be something to your leader. You got to start there, man. You can't keep blaming the coach, and you have to start with your leader, and he has to provide some consistency and some continuity within the team. And I just think his post-game comment should be better too. If he's not happy, then say he's not happy. Right? If he likes what they're doing, then say that. But he gives the same comment every single time, and you can tell he hates answering the question. So I'm like, bro, if you don't want to answer the question, then ask them to trade you. Go somewhere else and be happy. Because if you're not happy, we're not going to be happy.
So here's the flip side, and I agree with you because I was on Foxhead the entire pre-trade deadline pretty much for the way he approached leading this team. I agree with you. I hear you on that. But you had a guy that would do the exact opposite in Tyrese Halliburton.
Right.
He would do the exact opposite in De'Aaron Fox.
True.
And they were out there losing by 60. So like Tyrese would have the most colorful quotes and the most profound leader things to say every single night, and they would get blasted. I agree with you in a perfect world, but the thing that trumps all of that, in my opinion, is talent. It trumps all of that. You could have a bad leader, but if he's flanked by 2 other all-stars or Hall of Famers, it's all good.
You're never going to get that. You're never going to get that. You have to trade every valuable piece. You're in a wasteland where free agents are not coming there. Nobody wants to be the savior there because they already saw the savior come through with Weber and those guys. And they're like, you know what? That really wasn't worth it. What do they get? They get a jersey up in the rafters. I mean, who wants to come there and save Sacramento?
Apparently you get jobs forever too if you look around long enough.
Oh man, don't even get me started on that. Some of them deserve them. Like, man, I'm so happy that Doug is on the sideline because we know that Doug Christie is born to be a coach.
Yeah,
Doug is an incredible person. Like, I can't wait for him to get his chance in a situation where he can actually have influence, you know, from top to bottom. He's just,
as Doug would say, that part. That part right there.
The top to bottom to be able to build and put his thumb
part
on that team and say, you play like me.
Yeah.
Let's go. Oh, you get some players like that, then you really have a parade going. That's for sure.
Yeah. But my biggest thing, Ken, is, and that's why I'm so glad you came on here and you broke it down. You know, because Twitter is, we read our own tone when we read things, right? Like, it may not even be
all of Ken's tweets have an angry tone to them. I can't figure it out. Like, every one of them, I read the same way.
Right. But my whole thing was, I don't know why it can't be a little bit of both. I don't know why it can't be. De'Aaron Fox is a hell of a ball player, and he's balling, and he needs help. And also, De'Aaron Fox needs to find a way to turn these good performances into wins.
Yes.
Like, what you're saying is correct, but I also don't think it's all empty calories. Like, what he's doing, like, I feel right now on the court, he's doing everything he can right now to get this team to win. And it may be part of the maturation process. It's his understanding of things in the locker room or on the practice floor that'll get his teams to lift up right now. But right now, with those numbers, I don't think those are empty calories. He's doing everything he needs to do with this particular group to try and win and put them in an opportunity to win. It's not working out, but I think that's more so on the people around him or the lack of talent around him than it is what he is or isn't doing.
Might be. You're a hooper. Like, you are a hooper. You understand a lot deeper the intricacies of playing basketball and what it means to actually be out there and be effective, because it's hard. Like, you understand that way better than I do. So I'm going to go ahead and I get it. But I always feel like throughout the history of the game, there's always been one guy. And it came up recently when you start talking about the top 75 players, right? So we'll have our debates. Oh, that person should have been, that person should have been there. I'll be like, every single season, there's one guy that takes all the shots for the team. There's going to be one guy that scores all your buckets. Doesn't mean that's a great player. Somebody has to take those shots. So context is everything. You can go back and start looking at all of the leading scorers on teams throughout the history. And you say, okay, well, why wasn't that person considered great? And sometimes it's a mistake by the people who make that list. Like, Alex English should have been on that list. Alex English scored more points than anybody in the history of the league for 10 straight years. The entire 80s is Alex English scoring. Nobody else. But he doesn't get the respect because he's on a team with a bunch of other guys that scored 20 some odd points a game. And Denver, they never won anything. So he doesn't get the respect because his team didn't win. But there's always guys that got buckets throughout the history of the game. So I always try to put that in the proper context. How'd you get those buckets? What those buckets mean? If you're Dominique Wilkins, you had Atlanta competing maybe once against Boston, but you scored buckets all day, every day. So it's just got to look at the context of those buckets and what they mean for the team success.
Absolutely. I got you.
It's TVG's Ken Rudolph. Ken, refresh my memory again. Why are you a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan?
Oh, bruh. Look, man.
And how stupid excited are you right now?
Man, that was a big old surprise. So I've been a Bucs fan. I've only really loved two teams in my entire life as far as football is concerned. When I was a kid, when Doug Williams showed up, because I was a little kid that played quarterback on my Pop Warner team. So when Doug Williams showed up, I was like, that dude right there, that's my dude. And so he's always been my guy. Bucs were my squad for those years. And I still remember when I was in the military, I was in basic training when the Washington Redskins at that time played the Broncos in the Super Bowl. And I remember doing sentry duty. And I came around my drill sergeant and he had the radio on. And Doug had just thrown his second touchdown in the second quarter. And my drill sergeant was like, hey, hold up, Private Rudolph, listen to this. And it was talking about Doug. And I still remember just like being so happy and so proud of that black quarterback and Doug Williams just being the great guy. So Tampa Bay, Doug Williams. And then, of course, I love Joe Montana because he's the greatest to ever play the game. Yes. Okay. Did you watch that documentary? Are you serious?
Look, Niner fan. So if you want to give it to Joe, that's fine. I'm just saying that it got to a point where I'm like, Tom, it's just
give it.
When Tom got to 6, I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? What am I supposed to do? The man's got 6. And then he went to another team. He went to another team and did it in the first year. What you want me to do with this, Ken?
Hold on.
He did it with your team.
I have to check out my stress app. What I'm supposed to do right now before I get stressed out. Look, man, if you're a Niners guy, then you know the context, the history. And if you saw that documentary, it even gives it greater importance of how amazing Joe Montana was.
Yeah.
He had to fight off Steve Young. And he didn't just fight him off. He's like, sit your butt down over there. Carry my golf clubs because I'm better than you and you know it. Sit down. Every single time he came back, sit down, Steve. I got this. Come on, man. And then you see him talk about it in the documentary. He's still mad. He's like, man, they cost me 3 rings. And the man started crying. He's like, they cost me 3 rings. I'm still mad about that, dude. Come on, man.
I mean, well, I can't say I love Joe.
Then he got hurt.
Joe don't treat us right no more. So we kind of got to. Joe don't treat us right no more. So we kind of got a relationship with Joe. I love Steve. I love
treat him right.
But Joe always throwing some unnecessary shade. We like, why?
Because y'all didn't treat him right, man. Y'all didn't treat him right. You don't trade the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL. You don't do it.
Well, we had a Hall of Famer behind him ready to go.
That took what? Took him 4 years to win 1.
Oh, well, he was the De'Aaron Fox of NFL quarterback.
Dude, he inherited the best offense in the history of the NFL.
And he lost to like one of the best teams ever.
So you telling me that it would have taken Joe Montana 3 years to figure out how to beat Dallas? No, it would not have.
Oh, Joe would.
Every team that beat Joe, what did he do to come back? What did he do when he came back? Every team that crushed him, he came right back and said, the Giants knocked him out.
Yeah.
The Bears knocked him down. He came right back the next year. Sit down, sit down, sit down. He got hurt again and came back. Man, the dude got hurt again. Came back, took Kansas City to the AFC Championship.
I'll say this. Joe ain't never played nobody like them Cowboys. And I hate the Cowboys. At 91, 92, 93 Cowboys. Come on, man. The Giants were nice. They had the defense. They didn't have the offense that Cowboys team had. They didn't have the offensive line that Cowboys team had.
You're right. The offense was more prolific, but that Giants offense was super effective because they beat you up. Remember they had, was it Joe Morris? That dude was quick and ran around you. Mark Bavaro, they just ran into you. And Sims and Hostetler was an outstanding backup quarterback. Hostetler didn't mess around. So they had 2 quarterbacks. It didn't matter if somebody got hurt. They were still going to beat you. I just don't see. I respect Tom, obviously, and I'm so glad he came to the Bucs because we needed to win a championship after the one that we had that they took from Mr. Dungy. We needed another one after that. So I love the fact that Brady came. I respect him. He's on his game, and he's just incredible. But I don't see him having to overcome the things that Joe had to overcome to reach those heights.
That's true.
He never had a quarterback push him. He never had a front office saying to him every single year, we need to do something else. We need to get better. He's like, I'm the best. Nobody's better than me. They're like, well, you're hurt all the time. Yeah, and I come back. And when I come back, we win.
So, what came first? The chicken or the egg here? Because Jerry Rice and Joe Montana, like if you're saying Joe Montana is the greatest quarterback of all time,
no doubt.
Jerry Rice is unquestionably the greatest wide receiver of all time.
No doubt.
Would either of them be either of those if they weren't on the same team?
Yeah, Joe was already great. He'd already had 2 Super Bowls with guys you'd never heard of. Even though Freddie Solomon is a great player, most people don't talk about him. His receiving core was Freddie Solomon, Dwight Clark. They had a Mike. I got to remember Mike's last name. It was a bigger wide receiver. They had Charles Young. They had then they eventually got Russ Francis, and they started bringing in, and he was kind of done by the time he came to the Niners. They were just the offense was so progressive that people had no idea what they were doing. Bill Ring, these guys are people you've never heard of. Lenville Elliott.
You really are naming off people I've never heard of.
Even I don't go that far back.
That's your starting offense for the Niners, the first Super Bowl. Those are the guys making it happen. Those are nobodies. But the constant is the guy that came in to change it. They went from Steve DeBerg, who's a great arm and a great leader, but Joe Montana is Joe Montana. Everything changed. If you go back and look at those records, you're going to see names of people you've never heard of in your life, but those were great complementary players. Why? Because your leader made them all better.
And you know what I took out of this, Damian? And you need to listen to King because he's right. He confirms that, yeah, the Niners should have about 10 or 11 Super Bowls.
Okay.
It's facts. They should have 10 or 11.
Yeah. You need a quarterback.
I hate that you fed into
you need
that.
a quarterback.
This was legit supposed to go 10 minutes and it went 30. And I'm so happy. Yeah. Well, before you go, you want to say hi to Matt George live on the radio? Your old buddy Matt George.
Not that one.
Hey, Ken. How are you, sir?
Man, what are you doing?
I don't know. I'm lost.
I'm just messing with you, man.
I miss you so much.
Hey, look, I have expectations and pressure on people, and I've always done that since day one. And Matt, this is no surprise to you. I've always put pressure on you and expectations. Hey, man, you kept it pushing. So you get respect for keeping it pushing and staying on your grind and doing what you're doing. I got nothing but respect for that.
I love you, man. As soon as I turned on the radio, heard your voice, man, I was locked in. I pulled over because I knew I was going to be laughing.
Thank you. Appreciate
Good
you.
to see you, my friend. I can't wait to see you.
We tortured Matt for whatever it was the first couple of months he worked with us. We were all over that.
I tortured y'all too.
That's facts. That's big facts. Ken, we appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much for hanging out.